Are there limits to what a Christian can spend on himself or herself? For example, can a Christian buy a Bentley? I just finished reading a book written by a Christian author who suggested that Christians immediately determine what are luxuries and what are necessities and get rid of all luxuries. But I want to challenge that. I had a conversation with my pastor recently, and he raised the question, can a Christian buy a Bentley? Actually, he didn't raise the question. He simply said a Christian couldn't buy a Bentley, and I took him to task on that. I think a Christian might be able to buy a Bentley, but we'll talk momentarily about when that might be okay and when it isn't. In my own experience, while I was in my doctoral program, my wife was pregnant and we wanted to get a new car because the car we had was not very reliable. And so we were looking to purchase a Toyota Camry. Now, a Toyota Camry is not considered a luxury vehicle. It's a basic family sedan. But I was a student at the time, and this was a lot of money for me, and we agonized over whether this was a responsible use of our money. And ultimately, we did decide it would be okay, and we purchased the car. Now, I probably wouldn't do that again because it was a new car, and I generally don't like to buy new cars because of the depreciation involved with them, but at that particular time, that was the decision we made. Now, we can certainly look at the example of Jesus. We've seen that Jesus had a fairly carefree attitude toward money, but we have the extravagant expense of the woman who used the ointment on Jesus' feet, a very expensive thing. I want to approach this, though, by talking about a recent experience I had in my parents' church. We were visiting my parents' church, and the pastor got up in front of the congregation and put up a photograph of an absolutely beautiful new motorcycle. Now, this was his story. He used to ride around on a little Honda 70 on his little motorcycle, or scooter, I guess it would be called. And he rode that every day back and forth. He loved his little scooter. And then one day, a gentleman in the congregation said to him, "Pastor, you just don't look good doing that." And he sort of brushed it off. But then a few days later, he got a phone call from the local motorcycle dealer and said, "I need you to come down here." And so he wasn't sure why he was supposed to go down there. He thought maybe somebody was giving him a new helmet because the helmet he wore at the time was, let's just say rather interesting. So he went down to the local motorcycle store, and the owner, or the person in charge there, gave him a set of keys, and he said, "This is yours." And he showed him this absolutely fabulous bike, probably worth about $14,000 or $15,000. And he goes, "What is this?" He said, "Well, some people want you to have it." Well, he decided not to take it at that day because he was simply overwhelmed. Should he, as a pastor, accept such a beautiful gift such as this? And so he's telling this story to his congregation. And he said it was about a week before he decided to take this beautiful bike. And he said there were two questions that went through his mind. He said the first question is, will this hurt my relationship with God? And will this hurt my relationship with the church? Those were the two questions. Would this become an idol? We've said earlier that wealth in and of itself is simply a tool. Wealth is not evil, but wealth can become an idol. And so that was his first question. Will this hurt my relationship with God? Will this become an idol? That's a very good question. And his second question is, will this damage my relationship with the church? Because let's be honest, there are a lot of people in the church who, if they see their pastor riding a really fancy motorcycle, are going to say, how is it that he's able to do that? And so those are the two questions that he asked. But he explained this to the congregation, and he told that eventually he was able to take this. And I thought the way he explained it to the congregation was very good, because he told the congregation about the process that he went through. That he thought about his relationship with God, he thought about his relationship with the church, and frankly, I think he made a good choice. So, can a Christian own a Bentley? Well, will it become an idol? And will it damage your relationship with others? Now, there's nothing wrong with very good quality. The people who make Bentleys are skilled craftsmen, and they do a really good job. And so personally, I have no problem with a Christian owning a Bentley, as long as it's not an idol. Now, I do have a problem with a Christian borrowing money to buy a Bentley. But let's be honest, if a person's net worth is millions and millions and millions of dollars, then owning a Bentley simply is a very small percentage of what they're able to purchase. I know some people will be bothered by this, but good art is expensive. Quality merchandise is expensive. My wife and I often would forego purchasing something until we could afford to get something that's a little better quality. If you buy an inexpensive product, it might break, but you can buy quality merchandise, and quality merchandise does cost more money. And that's not bad. Certain things cost a lot of money, and that's not bad because the material world, remember, is not bad. It's not evil. The question you have to ask is, will this damage my relationship with God? Will this become an idol? And if that's not a problem, then it's probably okay.